I remember back in 2015 or so, back when I was still in school playing my copy of Call of Duty World at War, and I have this vivid memory of playing the final mission of the game while I was sick. All I really remember was the scenery of the location, planting the flag on top of the Reichstag building, along with the pride and accomplishment I felt for finally beating the game on Veteran. This was then followed by a heavy realization with the credits showing the detonation of the nuclear bomb, and just how many soldiers gave their lives in what still remains to this day the bloodiest war in our history. Ordinary people once had to risk their lives in the pursuit of the freedoms we have today. The brutality of the war, the price paid. It put things into perspective, and I suppose it still does to this very day. Call of Duty World at War has gone down in history as one of the best in the franchise, and that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, to express my thoughts and feelings on a game which made me gain a greater appreciation of the Call of Duty franchise and talk about my experience with it. While I wouldn't say that I'm a fan of the franchise, and I don't exactly have the urge to go out and play every single Call of Duty game out there, it does make me want to play through the few games that I do somehow own in my backlog of games and experience their campaigns. For this specific video, I'm not going to be touching the multiplayer or the zombies mode that came with the game. For starters, I have no real experience on playing the multiplayer outside of fucking around with friends in custom matches, and as far as the zombies mode goes, that's a game mode worthy of its own video should I ever decide to make one. A few months ago I went on a zombies binge with my friends trying to get all the achievements for that mode, and while painful, was a lot of fun. But for the purpose of this video, I'm focusing on the campaign of World at War. This is not a review. It's nowhere near as in-depth or as critical as other YouTube videos, and I'm not going to be giving it a score or anything quite like that. No fake British accent either, or at least I'll try not to slip into it. This is just me getting my thoughts and feelings out into the open in a relaxed and reflective way. A way to incentivize me to play more games because my backlog is massive, and remember my experiences playing these games because my memory is quite shocking. If that's something you like, grab yourself a cup of tea, a chocolate hobnob perhaps, relax, settle in, and I hope you enjoy the video. Call of Duty World at War is set during the final days of the Second World War, switching perspectives between the American troops taking on the Pacific Theatre and the Red Army taking the fight to the heart of the Reich itself. I found this a similar concept to that of Halo 2, as from what I remember of that game you switched between the Master Chief and the Disgraced Arbiter. Two different stories for the two different characters. It fleshes the world out in that game, and in this game you get to see a greater emphasis on the horrors of the Second World War. As the Americans, you're fighting the Japanese through Okinawa and other locations across the Pacific Theatre. You start off as a prisoner of war in a Japanese camp, and soon after you're rescued you get shot at the end of the level and you have to be dragged into a boat to escape while a weapon supply store blows up. The gameplay here during this campaign feels like you can take on anything, at least in theory, as I was playing on Veteran again for the most part of this playthrough, and I felt like I was going to gouge my eyes out and throw my controller or commit a violent crime, but I'll touch on Veteran later on. Americans in pop culture have this attitude about them that they can do anything, and that they're here to save the day. I felt like that with the help of my squad mates. We could do anything. Of course we can capture that airstrip or shoot those fucking PT boats, saving soldiers stranded in the water. It felt like you're kicking ass and taking names. It was fun, and the gameplay and set pieces really amplified this feeling amidst such chaos and destruction surrounding you. Even with all the losses throughout the campaign, the intensity of going through the trenches and burning the enemy alive, I never truly felt like all hope was lost. Even on the back foot, there was still hope and an endurance to push on and complete the task. But yet, despite that, the enemy you're facing is foreign, and so are their tactics in order to wipe you out. They hide in the trees, rigged down planes to explode if anybody gets snagged by their tripwires. They hide in the grass, ready to pop a shot the moment they see you, and hide back in their underground holes. And a good chunk of time they don't even care about their own safety and will charge you head on with their bayonets in order to take you down. Despite the can-do feeling I got from playing as the Americans, I couldn't help but feel as though we were being watched at all times and nowhere truly felt safe. Turn a corner and they're there. You think that you're safe and there's a Japanese soldier hiding in the trees waiting. The tactics were inhumane, and I personally felt like these missions of the game struck a perfect balance between conquering adversity and fearing for your life at the same time. But then there's the best missions of the game in my opinion. The missions where you get to play as a member of the Red Army, Dmitri. You immediately start their first mission and the music and atmosphere is harrowing. Planes are going overhead, crows are everywhere, the sky is grey and the music is haunting. You look around and there's bodies everywhere with Nazi soldiers finishing off any potential survivors. You're stuck, defenseless in the fountain of Stalingrad, surrounded by Nazis, and you're immediately hit by the realization that you are fucked and outmatched. But this does change. As the levels go on, you feel more emboldened, more powerful. Revenge felt good. Killing these soldiers felt good. Watching them flee in terror as the Red Army marched into Berlin with their tanks felt good. After seeing the horrors committed at the beginning of these sets of missions, it was enough motivation to carry me through the game and be invested in these characters such as Dmitri, Reznov and Chernov. Maybe that's the scary thing, how the underdog can soon become just as violent and as monstrous as their oppressors, justified in their actions based on what they did to them. After all, why shouldn't they line up soldiers and have a firing squad? The Nazis did it to them, why shouldn't they murder surrendering soldiers? Did the Nazis show them such kindness? What started out as a triumphant revenge in the beginning of the game turned into something much more twisted. I liked what I was doing from a story perspective. I felt triumphant. And when looking around the game's levels, seeing what the other characters were doing, how characters like Reznov had changed since Stalingrad, it was hard to shake the notion that we were becoming just as bad as the Nazis. But we shouldn't think about that, because after what they did to us, it's justified, because now it's their land, their people, their blood. What was once deemed horrific to us is now the techniques we employ towards the enemy. The war crimes we commit only bolden our resolve against a relentless enemy. So to watch them flee and struggle to put up much of a fight was good. I felt victorious. I felt vindicated from a story perspective. Something that I only noticed thanks to somebody pointing out online is that as you go through the game, the quality of the soldiers diminish. As you go through the American campaign, you'll find that the Japanese soldiers now start to wear glasses and look terrified, and how the Nazis look scared, bloody, beaten and sickly. Two massive armies having to use civilians and lower their standards on the quality of their soldiers just to have the necessary quantity to hold out a little bit longer. It was sad, almost pathetic. That's also what happened during World War II. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I decided to play the game on Veteran for the most part. This was mostly because a friend had challenged me to do so, and given I was curious on replaying the game, I thought, what the hell? I mean, I've played the game on Veteran before, and I don't remember it being that bad, so how difficult could it really be? I was incredibly wrong. I don't want to come across as a broken record when I say this, and I'm sure that this is agreed upon throughout the Call of Duty community, but World at War on Veteran is some of the most busted shit I've ever had the pleasure of playing. Is this doable? For sure, as long as you take the time and push up every now and then, you should be golden. Just play it safe and watch your back, because enemies love spawning behind you in this game from what I've noticed. But my god, the grenade spam in this game is astronomically fucked. Who in their right mind thought that the enemies should just lob grenades left, right and centre, giving you hardly any wiggle room in order to push up? It's like the developers thought it would be funny if the enemies all had personal 3D printers to print the damn things. Sure, it adds to the experience of an oppressive environment, but at least let me push up a few feet every now and then without seeing multiple grenade icons at my feet from every direction. The second to last mission of this game is notorious for this, and I'm genuinely curious to know if anybody at Treyarch actually play tested this section of the game, because what in the almighty fuck. I had completed 95% of the campaign on Veteran, but that mission was the one mission in which, after spending multiple days straight on trying to get past one checkpoint, I caved in and went to Hardened, and it was a night and day difference. Please, for anybody watching this thinking of playing this game on Veteran, don't do this to yourself. Play Dark Souls, play the Halo trilogy on Legendary, play any other Call of Duty games on Veteran. Just play World at War on Hardened. It's the best way. At least this is rewarding. If you have somehow managed to beat this campaign completely on Veteran, you have my respect. Call of Duty World at War is a fantastic game. The gunplay, the level design, the story along with its atmosphere complements each other so well, and when the music kicks in when you're playing as the Red Army, it just hits different. This game is outmatched when it comes to the depiction of World War II and the horrors it entails. World at War made me actively look into the real history of certain events in this game, such as the Siege of Stalingrad. It really is an experience playing this game, and in a weird way, the oppressive difficulty of Veteran kinda adds another layer of atmosphere to the game. At points, you do feel pinned down and without hope, with an enemy that shows no mercy. I'm not big on first-person shooters. I wouldn't say they're my go-to game genre, but World at War 4 has definitely made me appreciate Call of Duty as a series, and for the level of immersion and atmosphere they bring to their titles, along with a badass soundtrack composed by Mick Gordon of all people. Plus the gunplay is so fun and so smooth, each weapon feels unique and special. Veteran was hell, but in a game taking place during a war which was hell on Earth, it makes sense in a twisted way. But I wouldn't go through it on Veteran again. I'm not strong enough for that. I know I'm not exactly bringing anything new into the discussion for World of War, but as I go through my backlog and revisit these titles, I can't help but feel the need to talk about them, to express my thoughts and feelings. I love writing these scripts, getting them onto paper. While I may not be professional, I don't exactly aim to be. I'm not a reviewer, nor am I a games journalist. I'm just a gamer with a backlog, thinking out loud and expressing his experiences and thoughts on a game. With that being said, I'm glad I took the time to play this game, and out of all the Call of Duty games I've played, it has to be said that this might be the greatest Call of Duty game that I've ever played. If you'd like to follow me on this journey of going through my backlog of games and hear my thoughts on them, consider subscribing. There's no pressure though. I hope you have an incredible day wherever you are, and thank you so much for watching this video.